want to bring in Val Ackerman. She's commissioner for the Big East Conference, of course. What a win, Val, that the UConn women's Huskies can really celebrate, and that we're celebrating here today in the wake of this. What did this mean to the Big East?
Well, their accomplishment is a great story for us, just like it is for them. We kind of step back in the postseason and let them do their thing. But I can tell you, we see UConn as an important member of the conference. They were a charter member of the league when it was founded back in 1979. They rejoined us back in 2020. And this is frankly kind of what we hoped for, that they would come back in and they would contribute in meaningful ways to the basketball successes of the conference, whether it be on the men's side or the women's side. So the fact that they've won 3 national championships in basketball in the last 3 years, 2 on the men's side, now on the women's side, is really a validation of what they're doing in the sport, and it also has made for glory days for sure for the conference.
National championship never hurts. That's for sure, right? Especially with UConn, such an impressive and really historic stretch for that women's basketball program. Of course, it comes at a time where NIL, social media are really ramping up as well. How's the conference leaning into that to really up the viewership and engagement with the team?
Well, you're absolutely right. This is we're undergoing a period of tremendous change in college sports right now, with frankly more freedoms for the athletes. And you noted a couple of them. They can now monetize their images. They can transfer more freely. It's really a very different operating environment for our schools and for our coaches. And so you really have no choice. The answer to your question is but to be adaptive. So we're trying to counsel our schools as best we can. The schools that are successful are the ones that are holding on to players, like UConn has done. The schools that are sort of leaning into the economic requirements of this new era are the ones that are going to be successful as well, because it's all about athlete acquisition at the end of the day. And we're trying to keep up with what I'm sure will be continued change, because what we're seeing today is going to look a lot different in a year from now. And, so our job at the conference is really to try to monitor that and get our schools as supported and as prepared as possible for the changes that are coming.
What are those changes that you foresee happening over the next year, Val?
Well, the biggest one, assuming a settlement that's been negotiated in the case of a couple of lawsuits is approved by the judge presiding over the case, the most important change will start this summer with the ability of schools to make direct payments to athletes. That's never happened before. What we've seen in the last 4 years have been payments coming from third parties, but not the schools themselves. That's all going to change this summer. So now schools will have the ability to do that. Our schools are opting into that model. So that's change number one. As I mentioned, transfers now are more frequent, because athletes don't have to sit out a year when they transfer, which was the old rule. So we're seeing much more movement, and so our schools have had to adjust to that. I'm tipping my hat to all of our schools who are frankly able to retain their players, because it's not just the incoming players that you're trying to get and keep them from going to another school. It's your own player, if that makes sense, that you're trying to keep at your school. And so our schools are working hard to make sure that happens with a good culture, good messaging, trying to make the players feel welcome where they are.
Val, we're going to have to leave it there. Great to get your take. Wish we had more time. Val Ackerman, of course, commissioner, of the Big East Conference. And that is going to do it for today's show, everyone.